Sydney's harbor reputedly ranks with those of Hong Kong and Rio de Janeiro as the most beautiful in the world. Observed from the air, it manifestly does not average a mile in width, though its water frontage, due to the many bays and coves, totals 188 miles. Sydney is situated on the east coast of Australia and is the island continent's largest city with a population of 1.25 million. Our ship of dreams has passed the heads and is sidling along Circular Quay, back of and above which is the new Harbour Bridge, with a span of 1,650 feet, the largest single arch in the world. This magnificent structure, when completed, will link North Sydney with the business heart of the city, visible in the distance. Being as far south of the equator as Los Angeles is north of it, Sydney is just as popular for its hundreds of bungalow homes, its radiant sunshine, and its great outdoors. In Australia, they say, Adelaide for culture, Melbourne for business, and Sydney for pleasure. No other city anywhere has so many fine beaches within easy distance, or perhaps so many winsome nymphs of such naivete and charm as is this one. One of the most popular beaches, haunt of possibly 15,000 on a Sunday afternoon in January, which is midsummer below the equator, is that at Bondi, famous for its wonderful surfing. This one, like all the others, has a volunteer life-saving club, the members of which, though serving without pay, are expert swimmers who regularly patrol the beach and mark with flags where bathing may be enjoyed safe from sharks and undertow. On occasion, competitive life-saving exhibitions are held, during which the young men enthusiastically demonstrate how they, in their spare time, safeguard the lives of thousands. During the last season alone, records show that they saved no less than 18,300 lives. The leg movement, which at first seems a bit theatrical, actually is the only free and natural manner of enabling the feet to advance through sand or water. Try it yourself sometime. As soon as the prospective patient has proceeded 100 yards or so into the surf, a starting signal sends them off to the rescue. One member of the team, having donned the belt, swims out to the patient, as 3 others pay out the line to him. Each one is a fine specimen of virile young manhood, who by submitting himself to regular training and discipline, not only is improving in physique, skill, and stamina, but is enlisting in that augmenting army of Australian athletes that will make the world look to its laurels one of these fine Olympic days. The rescue having been effected, the linesmen carry the patient well up on the beach for resuscitation. In these contests, the judging is on a basis of 100 points, 30 for speed, 30 for efficiency, 30 for resuscitation, and 10 for general discipline. So keen are these young men for the sheer honor of winning that I doubt that a more inspiring spectacle can be witnessed anywhere than when 500 or more of them, each one a tested swimmer and a qualified lifesaver, takes part in the annual championship carnival. At such a time, they look, as indeed they are, one of the greatest voluntary humane organizations in the world. The minute hand of this floral clock moves every 15 seconds, operated by a system of weights and balances. Similar to the one in Edinburgh, Scotland, this contrivance also keeps actual time. It is in Taronga Park, Sydney, in my humble opinion, the finest zoological garden in the world. Black swans are found only in Western Australia, though the conspicuous pelican may be encountered elsewhere. Dens, caves, pools, and thickets occupy 60 acres, artistically laid out on a hill slope overlooking the harbor. A romantic pair of Australian seals have a love tank all to themselves, and Peacock Alley is all that it should be. Somehow these proud creatures, though presumably masculine, seem to be endowed with every feminine instinct, save one. They can't talk. But even before we turn the corner, what woman calls intuition has told them that a camera is coming. What a pity that such beauty must yield to the parrot, the lyrebird, and the cockatoo, all Australian, but all so blatant that they're in the talkies now. The emu, unknown outside Australia, has no earthly value, being without wings, plumage, or edible flesh. In an especial bower is a bevy of flamingos, but the one thing that everyone who comes to this land of living fossils wants to see is a platypus, strangest of all known animals. It has a furry body and tail like a beaver, a broad bill like a duck, and 4 webbed feet with claws. The female lays eggs, yet suckles its young. Even those who have seen it won't believe it. Probably the oldest of Australian animals is the dingo, or wild dog, cunning, intelligent, savage. But the best known is undoubtedly the kangaroo, prehistoric equivalent of the deer. Not so many years ago, they roamed the glassy plains in great mobs, but sportsmen and fur merchants have so reduced their numbers that they are now protected by law. As marsupials, the females have pouches in their breasts for the youngsters who, like children, prefer riding with head and both feet out the window. Though Australia is called the white man's continent, about 60,000 Aborigines, tall, graceful, muscular blackfellows, still survive. They have given to the world their famous weapon, the boomerang. This one is more of a plaything, which, if thrown against a light breeze, will describe a wide circle and return to the thrower's feet. Heavier and straighter ones were used in war, and others for hunting could be cast with deadly precision, even curling about a tree to fell a flying bird. Probably asleep high up in a gum tree within a park just north of Sydney are a few of Australia's quaintest and most lovable animals. They are koalas, or native bears, looking exactly like teddy bears come to life. They subsist exclusively on the tenderest leaves of a certain eucalypt. Consequently, metal belts preclude their ascending trees which they should not eat, or from which they cannot be rescued occasionally. Essentially arboreal, they dislike venturing above the ground, but always descend, when they do, backwards. They have prominent black noses, large bushy ears, powerful arms and claws, and no tail. They retain a perpetual expression of intelligent and amiable surprise. As the koala is also a marsupial, the baby grows up in the mother's pouch but becomes a bareback rider on climbing expeditions. Bobby is chief attendant of these absurd little creatures. He fondles and pampers them, and they pull at his clothes until it looks as if Bobby were bare all over. But Bobby sticks it out, and they stick to Bobby. Just as sheep and wool are the oldest industries in the world, so they are in this new country. The first 29 sheep were imported in 1788, the year in which Sydney was founded. And in 1930 there were 105 million, about 1/6 of the world's flocks, producing more than 1/4 of the world's wool, indicating that Australian sheep yield twice as much wool as sheep elsewhere. These are all merinos, a hardy breed that likes the climate, despite the periodic fleecing it gets. However, it does produce an exceptionally heavy staple of a good quality wool. Cattle provide another prominent industry. For dairy purposes in the south and for fresh or tinned beef on the high grasslands of the north, where one ranch or station of 13,000 square miles is reputed to be the largest in the world. Among Australia's many surprises are its camels, which, however, are not native, having been imported together with their Hushta drivers from Afghanistan during the gold rush in the late 80s. Thus the call of the East lures us on our way to some other glittering port of call.